brilliant.
I love it.
Great stuff.
So
Dave on VR, brilliant. Yeah, go.
So Daniel, how about we do a check-in to see how many people here in the audience were at the summit?
Let's do that. So give us some claps if you were at the summit, at any of the summit. That's
Woo!
A lot of people feeling the love, guys, feeling the love. Excellent.
I love
All right.
it.
Then let's get some love from the people who are here for the first time in some way, shape, or form. Come on, let's hear it. Okay.
Nice.
Oh, there's a couple people. That's great. Newcomers are brilliant. Oh, that's more than okay. There's a growing number. That's brilliant. We're recruiting.
So, do any of you
welcome, guys?
Have any idea what we did over a week ago?
Just a bit of fun. Just a bit of fun.
Yeah. So, Daniel, you want to tell them what we did just about literally a week ago?
All right. Well, just a quick recap for those of you who weren't actually there. A bit more than a week ago, some wonderful people in this room, the community, came together and helped us launch the very first 2020 Educators in VR International Summit. It was a 6-day event. I think Laurel and I, I think had we known, we might have rescheduled, but it was amazing. 6-day event. We had 170 speakers.
I'm going to go through the numbers.
You go through the numbers. So anyway, we got our members, the community, the different platforms together, and we got some big industry players, some big organizations. Everybody joined in together, and what ended up happening was so much more than the separate parts. It kind of fused into, Tom Furness said it fused into a happening, and he likened it to Woodstock, and I will remember that. So off the back of that, a lot of people are very keen to see more stuff like this happen. So that's why we're here, to kind of go over what happened and I think see what we're going to do going forward. Is that right, Laurel?
Yep.
Fantastic.
That's the plan.
All right. So.
All right.
Over to you, Laurel.
So let me get going. All right, let's get rocking here. So I have a few things that I want to go over, and then we're going to open up the floor to some questions and answers and stuff. And I've got this amazing team. I've got this amazing team here behind me that is going to help pitch in and answer questions and talk about some of the issues. Whoa, is that you or is that Donna?
I'm good. There's no, what is it that you're hearing? Oh wait, is it my?
Okay, all right.
Better?
Yeah, some big blasting noises. All right, let's get rocking here. So we're going to take you behind the scenes of what happened February 17th through the 22nd, right here in AltspaceVR and Engage and rumii and all the rest. So in 2018, we started out with our first monthly meetup. And then we thought, well, that's not good enough. The demand was so high. So in 2019, we pushed that to once a week. Okay, and this is one of those once a week meetups. And then we thought, well, let's see what else we can do. And we pushed it just a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, we did our 2020 Educators in VR International Summit, 6 days. Unbelievable. So we're showing that this can be done, and it can be done at an incredibly high level. Now, this was our goal. This is what we set out to do. We wanted about 40 to 60 speakers. We would settle for 30. We didn't think we could get to 60. We wanted it across multiple platforms because we're a cross-platform organization. We wanted to embrace multiple platforms and really help people understand what the potential was out there. We wanted to have a really diverse representation across the whole industry and invite sponsors and partners to help us financially support this whole endeavor. And we wanted the tickets to be free. And the budget to be, well, we wanted it to be higher than zero, but the budget was zero. We knew we had no budget. We needed funding, okay? So that was our goal, and we thought it would take about 10 people to make this happen. Were we so full of, it was amazing. Arrogance, first of all. But what caught us off guard and blew us away is that we had over Christmas time, we put out our speaker request, opened that up, just first part of December, end of Thanksgiving, end of November, and we had over 150 speaker requests right off the bat. That was unbelievable. Blew our socks off. And so Daniel and I are like, well, what are we going to do? We have all these people, and we're looking, and Donna's helping out. We're like, okay, I don't know what we're going to do. And it's like, well, it's virtual. Virtual reality is infinite, right? Right?
Can I just absolutely? Can I just add though as well? Because we did at some point think, well, maybe we have to prune this, right? But we sat and looked at the stuff coming in.
Oh,
we
it was
looked
awesome.
at all of the applications and was like, there's nothing we can prune. This stuff is so good.
Yeah, it was amazing.
You know, what would we ever prune? We have to make space, and so we did.
Yeah, and the only ones that we pruned were ones who had never been in VR and weren't talking about VR. I don't know why they thought at a VR conference in VR would be a good idea, but there were only just like 2 of those. But you know, there's always some of those. But when we got to 150, we're like, holy crap. So we decided to expand it. A little bit of regret, but we made it happen. We made this happen. We managed to get multiple platforms. Daniel, who did we get? While you were over there making lots of noise.
sorry. We got, right, my right controller. Can you see my right hand is frozen? The battery.
Yeah.
Anyway, I will
TMI.
take this.
TMI.
We got AltspaceVR, which is our virtual home. And the support from AltspaceVR has been amazing. But they learned a lot from us as well. We also got Engage, who is an amazing team, and they offer something quite different. So we had the whole team help us out and build a bespoke platform for our Engage performances. We had Rumii, who have loads of people, like loads of customers, and they put on special events for us. Matt Chacon from Rumii put on his own events over there, joined us on a panel here as well. We had Mozilla Hubs, and I don't know about you, but I'm passionate about WebXR, and seeing what those guys are doing over there at Mozilla Hubs was awesome, and I expect big things from WebXR. And then we finally managed to pull off at the very last minute, 2 days after their launch, we managed to pull off a bit of a thing on Somnium Space, which I also love. I love all of those platforms in very different ways, but yeah, we had 5, and since then a lot more have come, kind of joined the discussion, and I think going forward we want to work with anybody and everybody if we can. Yeah,
absolutely. We had the most amazing diverse representation across the industry, from bicycle safety to gang membership prevention, vaping prevention. We had deep research. We had the XR Supergirls. We had so many different things. Every kind of industry was tapped into, from the academic classroom experience all the way up to the, to corporate stuff. It was just amazing. Our budget was still $0, but our expenses were just around $200, and our ticket price was still free. We really still are looking for funding. That's still part of our process, but we bumped that to 75 volunteers, 75 plus minus people who gave everything to help make this be a success. It was unbelievable.
And some of whom are legends are in this room today. So a big hand to every single volunteer who is here. And can we also just give a shout out? Because the tickets did stay at 0, and our expenses were only $200. But we did actually get some people giving donations. We
yes,
they acknowledge them quickly.
Yep,
so we had a couple of sponsors join. Oh, sorry, go on. I don't want to.
No.
Always jumping the gun with you.
You are jumping the gun.
I have to read. I have to read the notes. Sorry.
That's all right. Go.
Well, yeah. Just thank you to, for example, Grove Learning over there. We had GFX 360 cameras. Then we had some donations. I don't want to read out the names. Some of them wanted to be anonymous, which is fine. But each and every one of you who gave $5, $50, $100, whatever you gave, thank you so much. Every little helps. No donation is too small or too big. If you know of sponsors who, are a good fit for what we're doing, believe in our vision, and are looking for exposure in this field, because we're getting a lot of exposure, then please send them our way, and we would love to talk to them as well.
Absolutely. Now, one of the most amazing sponsors and contributors that made this a success is Andy Fidel from VR Scout. So she's here. Andy, you were here a second ago. I know you're hiding, taking pictures. Yeah. There you are. There you are in the purple. So everybody, huge applause. She was traveling all over the place and hung out in airports and in backseat of a car working on speaker badges, these beautiful speaker badges. She also put together the amazing viral thing we had. Dan, you want to quickly explain what this was?
Oh, yeah, this is brilliant. So at some point, I think Yeah, one of those pictures I took and I sent in, and then it struck me that because the conference is only is fully virtual, we wanted to highlight the fact that there's really no physical location, and the only physical location this summit is happening is at our workstations with our setup. So we thought we would run, and Andy Fidel jumped on this like a hotcake. She said, summit selfie. Get people to send in pictures from where they are in the real world and from in-world. And then she created this beautiful collage here. And I think we've still got more coming. And it just highlights, it's just a beautiful visual of kind of all the different diverse people involved and the things we did. And that's the physical representation of where the summit happened, which is beautiful.
Which I just love that. I love that. So thank you, Andy. You're amazing.
Yeah,
thank you.
Legend.
Now, quickly, because there's 1,000 things I could say about this, and we want to get to your questions as soon as possible. This is one of the event spaces. So Mark and I, where are you, Mark? Yeah, I knew I'd talk about you. There's my buddy Mark over here, the glowing bot here. We worked for weeks to make this template space work. And what our goals were to have a large screen, like you see behind us, accommodate the most number of people, and have room for social. The reality was we got the big screen. We had to accommodate mobile users. Okay, we love you, but you're a pain in the tuchus when it comes to world building, okay? So we had to scale it down, you know, and the events team here at AltspaceVR kept coming to us going, "Guys, scale it down. I'm like, okay. So we did an amazing job. Mark is just genius at this. And we needed to prevent distractions because there's a lot of things in this world that are in this space that feed the trolls. They feed opportunities for distraction. And we wanted to make sure that because we had so many, our audience, we were having presenters who are experts in VR, but not in presenting in VR. Yeah. And that's very different. And so we wanted to lower the distraction level. And you know what? For this space, it sucks for social. You get 6 people in here talking at the same time. You can't hear anything. So that didn't work. We needed to get really creative. So this is what we did. Mark created this beautiful VIP lounge. Yeah. And we used this base space. And then what happened is that all of our speakers and all of our volunteers would check in to this private space. And then they would go to our event space where they'd meet with the audience. Because there wasn't an opportunity for social and a few other schedule issues that we'll talk about in a minute, there's a teleporter in the back of this space. Nobody rushed there. I don't know if it's still there right now, but anyway, that people after an event, they could go there, teleport to a copy of the virtual lounge space that was our public social world, and there they could talk, they could continue communicating with there goes somebody. They could continue to communicate with the speakers and continue to have a conversation because we didn't want that conversation to end. We wanted to have the networking. So this is, if you're thinking about a virtual event, this is really important to think about how do the speakers, how do the volunteers, and how does the audience flow through this process? And that's because really, really important.
Also because going into it throughout and since, people who either weren't there or one of the most frequent criticisms of virtual conferences or in comparison to real world conferences, but what about the networking? You go to conferences and most of the time you spend in the lobby actually doing the deals, in the quiet corner. And so that was our attempt, and I think quite successful at replicating that side of things. We had a lot of unique visitors there. But we had a lot of unique visitors there, at least 500 in that space. That's unique visitors, isn't that right?
Yeah, we'll get to numbers. That's complicated.
Jumping the gun again. All right.
You are jumping the gun. Okay.
Well, there you go.
So Mark did this beautiful space that we then used for multiple purposes. And it just worked beautifully. And then we have this event space that you're all in here. Now, what you cannot see is what's underneath it. And at the end, we will make sure that the barriers are lifted on our stage blockers. So you can come up on the stage and see that there is a monitor right above your heads so that when the presenter is speaking, they're not doing, I'm going to read the screen, and you don't get virtual butt in your face. So we have a monitor that's hidden, you can't see it, that is up here that allows them to look forward. Now, unfortunately, we had just a couple speakers who it was like a television, and so they got underneath here and they just did this, and then they spoke. So anyway, we have to do more training, but don't stare at the monitor. So I do the same thing in the real world when I'm prepping speakers. The other thing you cannot see is down on the floor. You cannot teleport directly on the part of the floor. You can other parts of the floor. And also you cannot get up into the rafters. One of the problems with this particular space is that many people will try to jump up into the rafters, and then they'll jump down in front of the speaker, or then they'll jump back up and all these things. Now, not only did Mark really do an amazing job to create those blocks, but Fox, kudos to Fox, came in, who was up on the railing behind us. He came in and he super tested it. So what you get for being a former troll, you know how to do it. No, I'm kidding. He knew how to do it. So you can't see those, so I put a picture up there to kind of give you an idea that those barriers are there, they're just invisible. Now, one of the most brilliant things, Mark did some many brilliant things with the event spaces, but one of the problems are that photographs add to the wait, the load time of a world. And we wanted a way to put up our sponsor images up on the wall, like you see right there. So Mark and I created, well, mostly Mark, created a clear Unity asset where we embedded the images on a clear blank surface, so to speak. They're just suspended in air. Reduced the size down tremendously. And so these are really tiny, tiny image, weight size things. And that allowed us to put them on any wall because they were invisible. Really genius. So if you want to do this using Unity, this is a brilliant idea, okay? It allowed us to carry these all over the place for all of our sponsor pictures and things. Now, for those that are into world building, really quickly, just so that you know, the Android version of the kits that we added to this template was 0.08 megabytes. The PC version was 5.6 megabytes. And the distraction proofing, which was a part of that total, represented 0.1 megabytes for the Android and 0.4 megabytes, less than half a megabyte out of that was there. So Mark, seriously, kudos. That was genius, brilliant. Yeah. Thank you. That was absolutely amazing.
We have the best team. We have the best team.
Yeah, that was just incredible. Now, we have an amazing volunteer crew, too, and I want to talk about how we manage communication. There is nothing more fun than waking up first thing in the morning after, not even first thing in the morning, middle of the night after 2 or 3 hours of sleep, and finding you have 50 Discord messages waiting for you. We used Discord, and my God, we pounded it, and it held up. So we used the voice chat as well as the voice and the chat, and we created some private channels for our speakers and our volunteers. And this was amazing. We also, this is a whole group of us that are on the live chat talking during the conference. And we were able to talk in world like I am right now. And I could hear voices in my ear telling me that we needed more mods in this other room, or we're having a problem with this, or some people can't get in the door, or whatever the thing was. And I was able to quickly mute myself, talk in Discord, direct people, and then open it back up and keep working. It was amazing because we could communicate across platforms. And Somnium Space.
Yeah.
Somnium Space.
Go ahead, Daniel. For the last event, we had a Rock Out the Summit event, which happened to coincide with the launch event for Somnium Space. So I jumped over into Somnium Space. We got a live stream going from Somnium Space into here. And then I was on Discord waiting for Laurel to let me know when the feed was coming into space. And it was a special kind of warping in your mind to be in one world, listening to another world whilst communicating with Discord. But it worked. There was a slight delay, but we worked it, and it was a glorious moment. So Discord, thank you for that.
Yeah, Discord was brilliant for that. It was so weird because I could hear him saying, okay, Somnium Space, come on. The next slide is up. The next slide is up. And I'm saying, well, we have more things to talk about. There are 2 more slides, and I could hear it in my ear. Okay, Somnium, it's the next one, is it? No, it's not. It's the next one. It was great. It was great. So it was but this is honestly, this is the equivalent of a walkie-talkie at a live event.
Yeah.
That's how I want you to think about this. This was the walkie-talkies. but our volunteers. So
Yeah,
I want all of
give it
our
up.
volunteer leaders get up here. Come on, Karen, is Diamond here yet?
She's stage access. I think she
Okay,
has stage
Donna.
needs to come up.
Okay, let me see here. Let's get her up here. And Michael, and did Alistair show up?
Yes, he's on the stage right here.
Okay, great. All right, okay. And I've already got Tim. Okay, wait a minute here. Okay. Can't find her. There's too many people in here. I can't find Diamond.
She is.
Tim, come on up, Tim.
So I'll let
There
Donna
you
get
go.
that. So get her up
Here,
here.
get in line, man. Get in the stage here.
Oh, there you are. I just couldn't. There you go.
That's it.
There you go.
That's
All right,
it. That's it.
beautiful. All right.
That's it, my friend.
So
There you go.
these people,
These legends.
truly,
Yeah.
absolute legends. I cannot tell you how amazing. Well, I'm going to tell you. Okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, we were having a meeting and things were crazy. And Michael sent us this great picture. He says, just to show you how scrappy we are, I'm currently in a stand-up booth, fanning my computer with a notebook so I can attend the volunteer meetup. Okay, that
Awesome.
so sums up everybody here.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
There was
love
another.
that. That was genius.
There's another aspect. Days before the summit, 2 days before the summit, in true Welsh fashion, where I live in Wales, Snowdonia, there was a huge storm coming in, and so I actually went out and bought a generator and I rigged it up in the garage. And we started on the Monday, the Sunday, all day I was running off a generator in the garage just to stay plugged into this, and it did really well. If ever you guys need like backup pictures of a generator, best piece of kit I bought.
It worked. That was part of the magic here. It was amazing. And these volunteers coordinated, and we have, let's add to these volunteers our track leaders. So we had 11 tracks and we had 9 track leaders. So we've got Tim Jackson over here. We've got Evelyn, who helped with 2 different tracks. Let's see who else. Serena, you did everything. There's Anna over here. And
Where's Anna?
We had so many, she's over here. And we had Dina Maria. And we had, Karen 666, who's up in the back there. Karen, you should be up
Always
here.
monitoring. Yeah, you should be down here.
Yeah, she's one of our great mods. Come on, Karen.
No modesty today, my friends.
Yeah, you should be able to get it.
Feel the love.
Yep. So she took over the amazing medical and science, and then Nicholas Braun was managing the computer science and programming. I mean, we had amazing people. And what they did, we divided up the speakers.
Oh yeah, Evelyn. We had Evelyn.
Evelyn, I said Evelyn. Didn't I say Evelyn?
Okay.
I said Evelyn. I want to make sure
You did.
everybody's mentioned. Okay. Yep. All right. I'll make sure everybody's mentioned. So we divided up the speakers by tracks, and each of the track leaders took over responsibility for their set of speakers, so that we would be blasting everybody with massive emails. So they were able to really communicate and work with them one-on-one, and I'll tell you some of the stuff they did. We had 6 volunteer leaders, which are all behind, most of them are behind me, to monitor over 75 volunteers. It was amazing. And then we had our film and live stream crew, and I want to send out some great love to all the volunteers who helped with that, because we didn't have enough, and they stepped up at last minute. And so many of the videos that you will see on our channel are that are coming still are all crowdsourced. It was everybody volunteered and pitched in at the very last minute, and it was absolutely amazing. Alex, do you want to talk about the video stuff for just a second?
Yeah, sure. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. What an amazing group up on stage here. I will tell you right now, I came in towards the last few minutes, almost a day and a half, maybe 2 days before we launched, and I cannot say that I have been involved in anything as exceptional as what was done with this conference. But so the video upload and data transfer process, as Laurel mentioned, was really amazing to be able to. We ran out of space. I think 2 days into it, we kind of ran out of space, and we had to pivot last minute. And there are a number of faces in the room here that I recognize. We're still kind of working through trying to get all of those logs, but I know Tony Cubes did an excellent job. I'm not sure if Tony's in the room with us today, but we've got a lot of stuff happening still post conference on the back end, and I just can't say enough. We learned a lot about system requirements to make sure that people are, using the right Wi-Fi connection, hardwire connection, CPU and GPU. There's so many things that go into making sure that we do this correctly. But it was a pleasure to be a part of it, and I'm looking forward to what improvements we're going to make for the next time. I know that there were some challenges with live streaming along the way, and I'd say pretty much by Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we had everything, pretty much ironed out. So it really was a work in progress all week long, but I just can't say, this team up here is absolutely amazing. So I would love to get some applause for everybody here.
Yay!
I just want to add a little story to the video end side of things. So halfway through, we were like, we need more people to do the streaming and videoing. And so many people joined. I think I remember at the Tom Furness event, I turned up with my second account ready to stream and record. And I looked around and there were 4 cameras in the room. That's how many people got behind this. It was brilliant.
It was awesome. It was awesome. It was really amazing.
Yeah.
So the volunteers, what the tasks that they took on was, number one, leadership. And as you've heard, the leadership was amazing here. We had a lot of event moderation, as you can imagine, because there were a lot of events. They had event hosting, and event hosting was that we needed to have someone who knew how to manage the slides, who could be up here. We had our track leaders introduced the speakers, and so they were often event hosts, but we had backup event hosts just in case. And backups are really important. I can't tell you how important they are, because it takes 1 second for somebody to lose an internet connection, and it was just amazing. So we needed those backups. And then we had room hosting for our social room and our VIP lounge that allowed people to come in and check in and to monitor those spaces. That was invaluable, boring as hell, but it was really invaluable. And then we had all our live streamers who just rocked it. And people were learning, even Daniel learned how to do the live streaming
I knew
stuff,
nothing
like on the
going
fly. You had no experience doing it before, just threw it up there. So we appreciate everybody going, well, I bet I can do that. Let me use my wife's account, and I think I can do it. And it was just beautiful. I loved it. So our volunteer training included slide management, was absolutely critical. Absolutely critical. I could spend an hour just talking about all the problems and the issues we had with that.
Yeah.
2D. I got to give cred to all of the people here. I said Diamond's still in 2D, or Karen's still in 2D. I love it. We had 2D desktop use lessons because they were so used to their headsets, and they needed to have the backup to be able to switch to their computer once the battery went out or overheated on their devices. And we learned to ice skate all together. It was wonderful. There's ice skating. But movement in 2D is very different. And so kudos on you guys for toughing it out and doing a great job on it.
Yeah, well done.
They really had a hard time doing it. And I encourage anyone, if you're doing an event, doing it in 2D allows you to last longer, as well as have your eyes and hands free for everything. And then the filming obviously was a big one.
It's a whole added skill, isn't it? Having the option makes you so much more flexible. You can,
it really does.
I often enjoy stuff immersively, but when I'm like delivering or performing or collaborating with Laurel on like critical stuff, I'll often be in 2D.
Yeah, just there's a whole lot to manage in there.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get through the last of this little bit here that I want to tell you about so we can get to the questions. So we had to prep everyone because, again, we had people here that didn't know how to present in VR, and we're not used to it. We had 171 people who had no idea how to do this. So very limited experience. So we had 8 Speaker 101 events over a 4-week time period. How many went to one of those speaker? I did those. Everybody went to see those? Yeah. And they're so popular, people keep asking me to do it again. I went, all right, we'll see. It's how when I get to be nasty to trolls, it's lovely because I use it as demos. But also, just on the
note, it's such a growing thing that it's a skill to really develop. I think I understand why it's so popular. Speaking in VR is going to be a big thing.
It is going to be huge. We also had 3 24-hour private event spaces running, and they're still running. So if any of the speakers want to go practice again, they're still open. I haven't shut them down. They're set to run, I believe, till 2026, but we may change that. Anyway, those were private areas, and we had track-specific or track-only speaker practices where the track leaders brought people in at specific times to work with them and help them out. We had all speaker group practices, and we had 4 volunteer training sessions and then some private ones in between. And you know what's amazing is that many of our volunteers, like Serenity, hung out in the practice spaces to help. She didn't know how to present slides. She learned. She didn't know how to do 2D. She learned. It was beautiful. And I love that our volunteers went above and beyond the Call of Duty to really push their skills forward. Now, when it comes to skills,
how it was organic as well. Just one thing, organic.
Oh, yeah.
People fell into the areas they felt they had skills. Like
Absolutely.
They didn't get asked. They just turned up and said, I can do this. They would do it, and other people got on with other things. It was so organic. It was amazing.
In my family, we say the most precious words in the world are, how can I help?
Yeah.
It's like,
exactly.
yes. Don't wait for me to ask you. Just ask me, and then I'll tell you. I love that. So, we had people doing, how can I help? It's like, oh, I love you. Please come help us. And they stepped up. It was beautiful. All right.
Yeah.
So here we have spreadsheet hell. Spreadsheets hell. We had so many spreadsheets. We were calling spreadsheets. Honestly. And Donna, kudos, Donna, the queen of the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
There is nobody can spreadsheet like Donna can spreadsheet. I think that sounded better in my head. She was doing spreadsheets faster than we could come up with ideas on how to do things.
Yeah.
It was just amazing.
Magic.
And a friend sent me, when I told him that we were renaming these to spreadsheets, he sent me this little thing. He said, have you ever created an amazing Excel spreadsheet? Then have been disappointed that none of your friends or your family cared.
Okay.
So I'm like, yes. I sent pictures to my mom. I did. I sent pictures to my mom and I said, look at this. And she went, yeah, so? I'm like, no, you don't understand. This is nuts. Anyway, so Donna also came up with the amazing things right behind Michael's head here is a numbering system to help us keep track. I don't know why we didn't think about it. She added it in. It was brilliant to keep track of the speaker IDs and the event IDs that really saved our lives over and over and over again through the whole thing. Because we needed to track in so many ways and sort in so many ways, and managing 171 people and 75 plus, volunteers.
Yeah.
Now, really quick, one of the most horrible things that we had to deal with, and the thing that literally kept me awake, and Donna and I know Daniel trying to manage, and that's the frickin' time zones.
Yeah.
We had time zone hell. 171 speakers from all over the world. It was unbelievable. And we tried every Excel spreadsheet thing to calculate those things. We tried timeanddate.com. It wasn't until I was up at like 4 a.m. and my husband woke up and he went, what? Why can't you sleep? Just sleep. Just stay still and sleep. And I said, I'm trying to do these time zone things. He goes, honey, just use Outlook.com calendar.
Big love to your husband. Big love to your husband for that one. Huge love.
2 clicks, you change time zones, all of your events shift to that time.
Beautiful.
Oh my God, that was beautiful. We put all of our events in, we scheduled them all out in Outlook.com. We imported them to the regular Outlook and then exported them to Excel. Too many steps, but we made it work. We did a lot of things. We did too many steps. We're going to do fewer steps. But this thing, if you're dealing with an international group and you're trying to schedule anything, Outlook.com is your lifesaver.
Can I add a little thing?
No.
Can I add a
little? I want to
no?
finish
right.
this and get to
go
Q&A.
on. All right. Tell me then when. Tell me when. I can jump in. Go.
So I just want to cover this really quickly. One of the problems we had was with the AltspaceVR calendar, and this was, they didn't, we didn't want to flood the calendar. They didn't want us to flood the calendar. So we came up with the idea of doing a color shift on the branding for the events. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, that's so gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And it worked because in the UI, there were enough, and kudos to AltSpace and to every single one of you who create events here. There are enough events in AltSpace that we didn't take over the calendar. We didn't have to do what we ended up doing to make it work. But there are now enough events that it was okay with our, huge list of events. So how we scheduled things was on the other platforms. We had single events. They were easy to publicize. We could give it to the link to the speakers. They could market them all over the place. But on AltSpace, because we didn't want to overwhelm the calendar, we took, Donna, correct me, I believe it's 117 events that were in AltSpace, and we batched them together into groups of 1 to 3 hours. We will never, ever do this again. okay? It was a nightmare. If you were considering doing a huge event, either do a block of 24, call it done, or schedule them out one by one. No doing what we did. Because we have these blocks of, I don't know how much you can see of this, is just a little tiny piece of the spreadsheet. We had these blocks of related events, and then we'd have other events going on at the same time. So we'd have like a 3-hour block, and then there'd be another 2 or 3 hour block, and they crossed over each other, and they were very hard to keep track of. And it's very hard to tell a speaker, okay, you're going to be speaking at, let's see, the block that you're going to be, your session starts at 9 o'clock, but you're not speaking until 11. Yes, but it says it starts at 9. Well, no, but you start at 11. And then, we had lots of complications if somebody dropped out in the second one, and then we had to fill. So just trust me, don't do this again. But kudos again to Donna, who saved us with all these horrible scheduling things. Now, analytics. This is what many of you were waiting to know. This is what we wanted to know. We wanted attendee counts. We wanted to have the RSVPs for an AltSpace. That's a feature that AltSpace has. We want to see how many people RSVP'd compared to how many actually showed up. We wanted to know where people came from, right? I want to know. We have speakers from all over the world. I want to know where people are coming from. We wanted to know what devices they were using, and we wanted to know how many people we kicked and removed, just to let us know how many, to compare, disruptions. This is what we have so far. Okay?
Only those, okay.
Yeah. And this is really unfortunate. We are still trying to get more information, but it's like pulling teeth.
Which is strange.
Out of a lion.
The platforms don't.
Go ahead, Donna. Please, next phone.
Just. Oh, sorry. So one thing I'd just like to say is that we say it all the time. Say it all the time. You guys are not early adopters. You are pioneers. And this is one of the byproducts of being pioneers. A few years from now, when we have all the stats, we won't remember these times when we didn't have anything. But this is a time where we're putting up our wish list. We're living with what we got, but we're putting up our wish list. So for future events, in order to be able to get numbers, they have to be tracked. So now we have to build the wish list of what we want tracked, so it can be in the background. So all of these things will come, but you guys are pioneers, and this is what so we're building something.
So Donna, step up here, and you want to explain these numbers just really quick for me, please?
Sure. So what we got is for every event, an event was either a 1 hour, 2 hour, or 3 hour in AltSpace. So you understand, you guys are part of AltSpace. You understand when you go to an event, there's a beginning time and an end time. So what we chose is to do either 1 hour, 2 hour, or 3 hour. And what we got for feedback is how many unique entries we had from people into an event. So there might be 120 or 300 unique entries into a 3 hour block. We don't know which event they went into. Which speaker they went to. We just know that they went into that event that was 3 hours long. So we did a little bit of math just to calculate that we literally had 5,449 unique entries into a collection of from Monday afternoon to Saturday at noon. And then the RSVPs, you know how you click interested at an event. And this is a key thing for moving forward, not only for conferences, but for other events. Even if you know that you're going to go to a weekly event, even if you know that I love going to Jesse's event and I'm going to start, go on Thursday night. I know I'm going to go to Educators of VR. I know it's on Tuesday afternoon. Clicking interested helps the event host get stats. And so we could tell there was just under 3,000 people interested. But I personally know there was a lot more people interested. They just didn't click interested. But as we're pioneers and we're learning how to use this system and how to build up the system, you guys take the extra second to click interested on events that you not only want to go to, but that you think you can. It's not helpful to click an event that you know is happening when you're sleeping, because you know you're not going to be there, right? But clicking interested when you know that if it's all possible, you can attend, that really helps for stats for moving forward. How big does the space need to be? So if 300 people click interested for Tom Furness, per se, we have to make sure that we can accommodate not only the numbers in the room, but also the moderators that go along with it. So there's a lot to going to hosting an event. The interested helps accommodate for those extra things that happen behind the scenes.
Yay.
Yeah,
so these are general numbers that we're still trying to parse and figure out what they mean. But on general, in average, give or take, when we get the numbers from the other platforms.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Okay, thanks, Laura.
Yeah, good, thank you. When we get the information from the other platforms, we can add to it and see what these actually come to. But again, she said it's right, it's early days. Now, we couldn't track devices, but we could eyeball devices, and we questioned some of our speakers. And so what we found is that the audience tended to be on 2D, which was a lot of 2D users for this event. So there were a lot of new users that came into the International Summit as well. And most of them were on Oculus products around the Go and the Quest and the Rift. But our speakers covered the gamut. Many of them were in 2D. They were on Oculus Go, on the Rift, in the Index, and the Vive. And what was fascinating is not as many were on the Quest as we thought they would be. So that was interesting. We thought there'd be many more that would have embraced Quest. We had more in the audience that had Quest than those up on the stage. So we're still trying to collect this information. We found that, I'm going to do this quick. We found that Tom Furness, Alan Wang, and the panels that we had were the most popular, appropriately so. That makes sense. And then, surprise, surprise, Maya Barloff, who did XR Supergirls, that event was through the roof. That was really interesting to have that step up even above. So definitely some interest in those programs like that help lift young people through the girls as well as students in general through the STEM programs and things using VR and XR. And okay, thank you, Daniel. Thank you. Awesome. He's got to step away. So thank you for everything that you've done for all of us here. Much appreciated. All right.
Legends, all of you. Thank you.
Yay,
much love. See you soon, guys. Family.
All right.
See you later.
He's got family. Yeah, we got family.
Bye.
The most popular, see you later, Daniel. Thank you. The most popular topics, again, hard to assess. We did the best we could. Diversity and inclusion were huge. That was amazing. Equal access as well as, LGBTQ issues and things like that. Elder care, mental and health issues for elder care was really big. VR and any kind of training and careers, those were also huge. We had a WebXR, a lot of love for WebXR. The creative arts in the Roblox studio was also a very popular segment we did. And anything with world building, design, and development was also very, very hot. And of course, the VR, AR, research assessment, and pedagogy, because this is educators in VR, and we're trying to integrate these technologies into education and research, and it's so critical. So those were very, very popular. Here's what we discovered really quickly, and Donna has some beautiful stuff to share too. First of all, we discovered we are not alone. We are family. Absolutely. We are not the only ones doing this. That was beautiful. We discovered that most of our speakers were from Europe and Asia. That was an eye-opener. I love that. That was genius. It was so amazing. What they're doing over there is really breaking ground and pushing limits. And we found out that this industry is incredibly diverse with so much usage in the most surprising ways. That was really, we knew it, but boy, we had proof and just blew our minds. The best event times, everybody always asks, what's the best time for an event? I can only tell you about these 6 days and what we found, which is pretty much what we knew. From 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. UK is what that matches up to. And that's the hottest time. You want to put an event, have most people here in AltSpace and other event platforms, that's the key time. Second was 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific, midnight to 3 a.m. UK, 1 a.m. to 4 p.m. for Central Europe. What was very fascinating is that the evening time on the Pacific Coast, home to California and Washington and all of the high-tech companies and everything, had the least, their evening time for the Pacific Coast, very few people came to events. It was just fascinating. There wasn't a great demand. It was really interesting for us. Donna, you want to do this one?
Oh, sorry, I'm going to just give me a sec. I'm going to move forward a little bit. So I'll turn on my megaphone. Sorry, my puppy's in the background and I'm trying to keep her quiet. So hang on a sec. Okay, amplified my voice. So which slide are we on? Sorry.
We're on lessons learned.
Oh, lessons learned. Okay. So do you want to start with the first one and I'll step in?
Okay, all right. So we had, as you can imagine, we had many speakers that asked to have more, to bring 3D models in, to have more, more adventurous event spaces, because we were trying to make sure that mobile users, Quest, Go, Gear, were not crashing. We had to really, really tone down, as we told you in the beginning, our event space. And opening it up to any kind of an event, any kind of world, brings up that potential problem of people crashing. You don't want to invite a whole bunch of people in and then have them crash the moment they enter. Well, we want to blow that out as much as we can for next time we do this, because we need to demonstrate that we can present in, virtual spaces of all different types. So that's, again, we're moving towards that. It is early days, but that's high on our list. And then social events, we learned, we learned that if you schedule a social event, people will show up. If you provide a social event, no one will show up. So you've got to put it on a calendar in a way that people will actually arrive and know that it is an assigned social time. That was interesting, because we thought that it would just work automatically, and it didn't. And Donna?
Well, and I think, just to go back, there's a few speakers that really wanted to do something interactive with, with responsive questioning, etc. There's people that had interesting ideas, and I think probably for 1 year, we're probably being adventurous. It's probably going to take a little bit longer for the VR platforms to catch up with imaginations, right? It probably took 5 years for our smartphones to catch up with what we really wish they could do, even though we didn't understand the capacity or the impact those smartphones would have in our life. There's a lot we haven't even envisioned yet that VR is going to give us, but it is going to take a little bit of time. And so sometimes we have to go to the bottom denominator to make sure it's a good experience for everyone. From a social aspect, I think that social VR has such a potential for connection. So event space is huge. The opportunity, look at all the conferences that are canceled just in the next 6 months. It blows the mind. World Mobile Conference, 35,000 people. Facebook has canceled theirs. I just heard about a couple more today. That it's going to be, the social VR space is huge, and I wish that we're not quite ready yet to, in a few weeks, capture all these ones, but I think in the future that will be a thing. Now, the thing about social VR events is it's great to talk to people. It's great to have presentations. Even the Q&A is invaluable. But the reason we go to conferences, the things that we remember are not the keynote that we could go back to and hopefully listen to on YouTube later, or could have listened to at home. It's the experiences that we had with the people that we physically met. And I know a lot of people outside of VR. I've had a conversation in the last 24 hours with people who don't understand that a VR social experience is actually a real life social experience. We're around the world. I was at a meeting this morning where there were 6 of us, and we were literally from 6 different countries meeting and talking for 90 minutes. It blows the mind. We have real experiences. So at conferences, it's really, I think it's critical that we, when you're listening to people talk during an event, asking questions, in your mind you're going, I want to meet that person. We need to, when you're building your events, incorporate those social times where maybe it's a social activity where somebody's coming to listen to music, or there's some sort of thing happening and people gravitate to that social experience, and then you get to those are the moments that you remember from the conference. So we have to take advantage of them. In VR, we have the unique thing that when we have an hour off, say, we need to do a bunch of things in our physical life. I think I can attest to everybody that was working behind the scenes that during that hour break, it's really critical social, but you also provide literally that commercial break on TV where we can run and get something to eat and do our personal stuff. That is really important at a VR conference, is that we give people that same opportunity. Even in 2D, it's nice to take the headset, not the headphones, in 2D. Adding that social aspect. The other thing, honestly, you guys, I don't care if you're in the physical world or if you're in the VR world for a VR conference, when you send people stuff to read, they don't read it. And you can be as concise as possible, and you can give them every piece of information, and it just doesn't get read. And it doesn't get read the way it was written. And I think that there was so many people on stage that spent so many hours meticulously going through kits to give information to people. And they would come in the room for a practice, and you would know by the first question that there's a potential they hadn't actually gone through the information,
Absolutely.
right? Which is not a bad thing. It's a reality, you guys. It's not a criticism. It's just a reality. So trying to compensate for that, I'm not sure we know the answer to that, but it's just a learning that I had one person tell me that the information wasn't concise, and that made my head explode because I'm not sure how concise it could be. But anyways, it was just one of those things.
Absolutely.
And we know audio and slides were not only a problem with educators in VR, they're a problem in AltspaceVR still, right? We still host events and we struggle with people not being able to see slides. Some can, some can't. We still struggle with people not being able to hear the audio. That's an ongoing thing. And I guess that what I'd like to say is two things. The first one is AltspaceVR knows this, and they're working on it. And in order to be a player in the event space, they have to. This isn't well, we'll see what happens next time. This is if we want to host events, like this is a have to. But what blew me away is I'm a Twitter person, always have been. And I had a Twitter feed running 24/7. I never left my kitchen table for almost 10 days, about 9.5 days. I sit on 2 stacky stools. I could reach the kettle and the coffee from where I sat. If I wanted to sleep, I just put my chair back and had to sleep. And I just had a Twitter feed going all the time. And what blew me away is with all the things that, especially the volunteers, but a lot of you attendees that came, you knew about the audio and slide trouble, and we struggled with it. But there was very, very little, not none, but there was very little backlash. And during this event, we had the speakers that we had weren't all only experts in their space, but they are, like, the VR space is still small globally. These are influencers on a global stage. And I made a Twitter list before, and of the 170 speakers on my first swing through it, I got 138 speakers on my list of my Twitter list. That's a lot of speakers that were also on Twitter, and they were all talking about this conference, and they were not talking about, oh crap, nobody could hear what I said. It was blowing their mind what organizers, what volunteers were doing, and there was attendees at all these events. There were so many events, and that there were people to listen at each one, and they were blown away by the experience. And when can we do it again? And how could we potentially do it with a different industry outside of educators, etc. So I think it blew me away how positive they were about the future. And so when I say you guys are pioneers, it does not really matter if you're an audience member, if you're part of the organizing team or the leadership team or whatever. We are building something that is going to be way bigger than any of us can imagine right now. Like we think we know, and trust me, 5 years from now, we're going to think back to this conversation and we're going to say we had no idea what was coming. So,
that's the truth. That's the truth.
If I could just have 1 minute longer, is that okay, Laurel?
We're running out of time. Make it 30 seconds.
Okay, so Chris Madsen from Engage posted a LinkedIn article today that I encourage you guys to go read. But he included in it a list of benefits. So in 30 seconds, I can't mention all of them. The reduced carbon footprint we talked about, and that's an obvious one. Travel savings is an obvious one. The fact that global audience participation, regardless of geophysical location, that is, and I would say, so like don't get cost isn't a barrier. I think that's huge. But even to achieve a level of the ability to provide sales pitches and interactive product experiences, spatial recordings that allow attendees to rewind, right? We're working on that. Unlimited branding and potential opportunities. It really is limitless.
It is. All right.
Thank you.
So, thank you. So I want to say that first of all, this would not happen without these amazing people behind me, and I'm going to do big thanks to them in just a second. But it's important that we do take care of ourselves. As Donna so beautifully said, we really were like, I was living in my office. So this is my inflatable bed that I set up in my office with my food stash, okay? Because I didn't even go in the house. I didn't do anything. I just stayed in my office for 2 weeks. And having the support of getting sleep, that was critical. When we redo it, we're going to rethink our time off, right, folks? So we have a little bit of break in there to recharge our batteries. But having support, my family, my friends, housemates and stuff were absolutely amazing during this. And I have a friend who sent me this wonderful message that said, oh, thank you. Maybe you could use some chocolate, with a picture of him. It's one of my best friends standing in front of the chocolate, this giant chocolate he found. I went, that's support. Maybe virtual chocolate, but it's still chocolate. But one of my favorite bits of support came from my best friend, Nancy. And I passed it on to the team when we got it, because she just knows me too well. So it wasn't that I don't brush my teeth. It's the fact that when we get so involved in this, that we just forget everything. And I think Donna and I were doing competition for who could go the longest without a shower. This was beautiful. She knew me so well. It was like all I needed to say, and I just about fell off my chair. So, having that support, family and the support around you to do this, as well as the people that you're working with, is so incredible. And you know what? We did it. We made this happen. It was just a dream. It was, I'm going to start crying again. Oh my God, it was absolutely a dream, and we all made it happen. And it was amazing, absolutely amazing. And I could talk about how amazing it was forever, but I want to get to your questions, and I have some other people that I want to have speak about what went on. Could not have done it without these people behind me and many of you out in the audience. God, thank you. Really quickly, to let you know the volume, these are the people that are team leaders and the main key people that help make this work. We owe them so very, very much. Your names are embossed on my soul, trust me. These are our speakers, 171 speakers. We had a few cancellations, but very, very few people showed up from all over the world, from weird places. One from a restaurant managed to come in and do some speaking. And our volunteers, bless you all, love you all, you were absolutely amazing. So it takes a team, and we are very, very privileged and honored to be working with some of the best that are here. So thank you. All right, so I want to, before we get to questions, this event is running to 45 minutes after the hour, so it's going to be going on for a few more minutes, but I want to get to the questions. First of all, Evelyn, you stepped up and you helped with 2 tracks, and you did an amazing job. And I have to tell you that the best volunteers, just like the best moderators, are the ones that are silent and you see work being done. You were amazing. So talk about how you manage the speakers, please.
Yes, so I mainly managed the research track myself, and I assisted with the coaching track from Dina Maria. So a couple of my team members are also here. So how I organized it, I made a small team up with some very enthusiastic volunteers, and I divided the speakers among them. I also included myself in some private Discord chats with the speaker, a volunteer, and myself then. So I had a great overview, and the volunteers would take over responsibilities like practicing with the speaker or co-hosting. So I didn't have to everything myself, because I also have a job. So I need to be somewhere else sometimes. And it went great. I'm really proud of everyone who helped. So thank you all, you on stage, but also people in the audience. I see Keith all the way in the back. He was also a member, or is a member of the research team. And I guess that's all of my team. But thank you very much. It was amazing to work together with you. And it worked out pretty well, I think. So
yes, it did. It did. Thank you. Awesome. I just loved it. And that's a really good example. And Tim and Anna and everybody who just really worked one-on-one with the speakers to make sure that they felt comfortable up on the stage, that they understood how to do the slides, and they put in so many hours. It was unbelievable. Tim or Anna, you want to say anything about, real quick about what you did? Oops, was I fall off the stage?
Okay.
Make sure you're on megaphone.
Yeah, I've just put it on now.
Okay.
I wasn't expecting to say anything, but that's fine. It was trial by fire, I think was probably the best description. We came in not really knowing too much on how AltspaceVR worked, and we had lots of training beforehand, but I don't think anything really, nothing really prepares you for the event itself. And the first session you went in, the first time you walked on the stage, the first time that you were controlling those slides and interacting with the speakers was just an amazing buzz. I can't describe it as anything else. It was just amazing. And I think we just went from strength to strength, and the more sessions we did, the better we got at it. And I absolutely loved it. And I just want to do more. And I was nervous as hell. I'll be honest with you. I really wasn't sure what I was doing. Very, very nervous. I just came in, did it, and loved it. And I'm going to do more. And that's the best way I can describe it.
Good, we didn't burn them all up. They want more. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. So Karen and thank you so much. Both you and Anna, you were just there, just knocking it out. It was just really a beautiful thing. Karen, you want to talk about the volunteers? Oh, it was beautiful. About the volunteers?
Sure. Hello, everybody. And all I can say is piggyback on what everybody else has said, but the volunteers were just unbelievable. I am thinking about this. I think that as far as participation goes, as far as speakers not vegging out at the last minute and volunteers stepping up to the plate, I think people were more committed being in VR. I'm not sure why. Maybe because it's not the same old, maybe because everybody realized that we're participating in something really pioneering here. But the level of participation and help from the volunteers was just out of this world. It was incredible. It was an experience that, I feel very privileged to have been a part of. And that I was trusted to do what I did. And we had such a great team. I do have a little funny story about Alistair, Steve, over here to my right, when I'm not good with time zones. I mean, I'm horrible with time zones. I live in California, and I have a hard enough time just in this country with time zones. So I was freaking out because it was taking me forever to convert some of the time zones. And I thought, I'm not going to be able to complete this spreadsheet with these time zones. So then we get this email from Alistair saying, oh, do you guys need some help? He said, I managed, 50,000 volunteer employees at Disney World and scheduled them. And I'm thinking, oh my God, our Savior has arrived. So I got a hold of Donna and Laurel and talked to them, and they were all on board. And bless Steve. I will forever be indebted to Steve for coming on board and taking that task over, because it was huge, just huge. And anyway, my other cohorts, Diamond over here with the same vest on that I have, and then Michael over here to the left. They were absolutely wonderful. And, and so were all the other volunteers. And one more thing, and then I'll stop because I know we're really running short. But I just want to say that everybody, all of us, and not just in AltSpace, but in the world, we all have different strengths and weaknesses. And what I saw happen, like Daniel likes to use the word organically, everybody's strengths came to the forefront and they just filled holes. It was amazing to watch that process happen. And where people have weaknesses like me, with the time zones or whatever, other people stepped up to the plate. So I just want to say that I was privileged to be a part of this awesome team, and we are a family. And I just say thank you to everybody. And I'll shut up.
Okay. Michael, do you want to add to that?
Okay, megaphone. Yeah.
Yep.
So it was like a crazy experience. It's pretty surreal over the last month and the last few weeks of putting on this conference, because just the fact that everyone all had different commitments in person that they also had to deal with, while also sacrificing so much of their time to put on this conference, made it really inspiring. And I loved the entire energy and passion that I saw from every single person. And for me, I was working on the slides and trying to get all of the presenters, making sure that they have all their things ready for their talks. And it was challenging, like Rel mentioned, with all these different file formats and social VR platforms having varying levels of how easy it is to import slides. But with new ways that maybe people can interact with their audience or engage and have different, if we are able to have these 3D assets that the audience can interact with and everything, it can create even more immersive presentation. So I'm very excited to see what's in store for the future of social VR and continue working with the team here for future conferences that we hopefully host. So,
yeah. Yay, indeed. All right. Wow. So I'm going to open up the floor, and we want your questions on how this worked. I got this beautiful team up here that are ready to answer your questions. And so who has some questions about how this all worked? I can tell you we're going to be continuing this forward. We're going to be doing not 6 days, at least for a little while. We're saving that for next year, maybe. But we are looking at doing half day and full day and possibly weekend events. And so we're working on developing those already. So that is lessons learned. Don't kill yourself. But yes, we're going to go forward. So Mark J., you're on.
Hi.
Mark? Hi.
I only attended AltspaceVR events. Could anybody from who did other events, Engage or Rumii or Hubs, tell me what the benefits of those platforms are, or what their strengths were, or where AltSpace was better? A bit of compare and contrast.
Well, there is no better. There only is what there is. So they're different, but Engage and Rumii and Mozilla Hubs are designed for smaller audiences, much smaller audiences. And so their cap is 20 to 30 people, maybe 40. So we couldn't get this particular event space will hold 80. And not that we'd want to jam it up to 80, but it will hold 80. And so that was, so when you're dealing with a more intimate experience, because you can have a smaller audience, you can also do more things with interactive VR, and many of them did, where they walked on the moon and they did all kinds of different events. And so that allowed more freedom as compared to AltSpace, which has more mobile users on it, and therefore the other spaces tend to have more tethered users on it, so you can have more power and capability to do those things. So other than that, there's not that much difference. There are greater event management tools, moderation tools, event hosting tools in AltSpace than in the other platforms. You can record the screen, and you can do video capture in some of the others. So it depends on, I really encourage people, we are going back to these and doing tours and things of these different platforms, and we would love to have your input on these, to come with us and see what they look like. There is no good or bad. It just is. And we had great events on all those platforms, and it was fantastic. There are people that are extremely loyal to them, and so they were right first in line. But it was still, they're all good. So no positive, negative, just different. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
All right, great. I love it. Thank you. All right, Tony, I want to tell you, Tony, thank you for putting that spreadsheet together. We're hoping to make it even bigger once we get all the rest of the videos set in.
Oh, great. Can you hear me? I'm on my computer.
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. My question here is anybody streaming or recording this one?
Yes.
I started. Oh, good. Okay. That's always good to know at the beginning of these things. I don't know if it was mentioned. But yeah, currently I can't see the slides, so it'd be great to know that someone.
You tried re-entering? Tony, did you re-enter?
I did. It's something about this computer. It's a work thing.
Sorry about that. Better graphic card.
Tell me about it. So, I guess maybe on the Discord or something, if something is recorded, it'd just be great to have that there. That's not a question.
Yes.
But,
we will share it. So Mark is recording it up there, floating up above there. Yeah, no problem. All right, thank you. Yeah, we do try to record as many events as are possible, but sometimes we haven't had the volunteers, and that was why most of the videos were crowdsourced. When we did the summit, people stepped up beautifully, and we appreciate it so greatly. So if you want to be on our permanent team to do some filming and live streaming, just come talk to us. All right, Zeke, you have a question?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. One thing I discovered, I actually went to the disability group in 4 a.m. That's dedication.
Well, it's your 4 a.m. It's somebody else's middle of the day.
I know. But I noticed this afterwards, and it's something that might help AltspaceVR and improve with the future events. So you can't have an Oculus Go and run 2D at the same time. It will cancel each other out. For me, it canceled each other out.
No, you have to have two separate accounts.
Oh,
so AltspaceVR doesn't allow, most platforms don't allow simultaneous login, so you have to have a separate account for one for the camera, one for yourself.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, does that help? All right, excellent. Well, thank you, and I'm glad you were at that event. Okay, Duchess was one of our great saviors when it came to doing all this filming. Duchess.
Hi.
Hi there.
Because all my filming was live streamed, do you still want the hard copies?
Mark? Alistair? Sorry, Alistair?
Yes, we would love all of the recordings if you have them, and you can. Do you have the pCloud link, or were you going to send them up to the Google Drive?
I'll send them up to the Google Drive if you don't mind.
Perfect. Yeah, if we don't mind here in the room, I just want to echo, Duchess, I think, recorded almost every event. Like, every time I looked at that spreadsheet, I saw Duchess. So thank you so much. I know that all of us were managing our real lives outside of this conference at the same time as, being available during the in world as well. And it's really amazing what the people did to pull this thing off. So thank you so much, Duchess. And it's nice to kind of meet you. I've seen your name a gazillion times, but I don't think I've actually been in the same space with you at the same time. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You really stepped up for us. Thanks.
There is one thing I would like to say. I'd love to extend this at some point. Is there was people, obviously they were watching the live streams, and it would be nice in the future maybe to give them people at home a chance to actually ask the presenter a question, because I can't see why that's not possible.
It was just low manpower, staff power, whatever the current word is. We just didn't have the people to watch it and maintain it. That was the only thing that was, we want to do that. But again, we had to crowdsource out just getting things recorded. So, in the future going forward, we definitely want to do that. This is why the 24-hour thing, we're probably not going to do 24 hours. We're going to cut that down a little bit. But yeah, that was one of the trouble. But yeah, we would love to.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't mean for that time. I just meant like in the future, it'd be great to be able to do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you again. This is awesome. All right, let's see here. We have Jim. Jim, another one of our great heroes. Hello, Jim.
Hey. Hi, everyone. First thing, before my question is fantastic. I was one of the persons that did read all the documentation. That's the reason I was able to come up to speed so quickly, and the training was amazing.
Jim, these clocks are for you.
Really, seriously, I knew nothing about moderation. It was all I could do to get myself out of trouble when I first came into AltspaceVR a very short time ago. So kudos to everybody. And without you guys, I mean, including speaking in VR, which was brand new, there would be no way I could have ever done that with my partner Jared. Absolutely impossible.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. So, now, hold on just for a second. Evelyn, before you go, everybody she's got to leave. Round of applause for Evelyn for all the work that she did doing the track leaders and everything. I don't get a chance to get everybody thanked individually. I really want to make sure that I can as much as possible. Thank you for all the hard work you did monitoring both of those tracks and getting them under control. Yay, thank you.
I really enjoyed it. Bye-bye.
You were wonderful. All right, Jim.
So my question is, for those of us going to continue to volunteer, will there be additional training and support so we could post and we can, get our VR rigs ready so we could record, etc.?
Yes, we've got a whole bunch, right, Karen? Diamond? Yep. We have, I'm going to be bringing back, we're just still recovering. Honestly, I had power outage the day after the event. So everybody's like, oh, well, good, she's getting some rest. No, I was with a chainsaw cutting trees because we had big, huge storm came rolling in and my generator wasn't holding up like Daniel's was. So anyway, I didn't get any rest till like 4 or 5 days after. And so we're still all recovering and trying to catch up with all the backlog. But we're going to be doing training sessions, moderation training. We're going to be doing slides and video stuff. We're going to be doing the Speaker 101, right? Am I on track? Yep. I bet by the clapping, that's on the list. So yes, we're going to be doing more. We'd love to have you be a part of it. Now you have to teach others because you did trial by fire.
Yeah, and that was my other question. I didn't know anything about moderating, and I attended 2 of your workshops on moderating, and I was being told by other people you did really well. I said, well, thank Rel. That's the only reason I did well is all the courses and the volunteers that coach me. But I would love to get involved to pass it on. That would be fantastic.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Cassie, this is the magic. This is the absolute magic. Thank you, Jim. Sure. You are amazing. Thank you. I love it. All right, let's see. We got a few more, and then Donna's going to take over some of the questions because I have another event to do in just a few minutes. So, Fred, how about you?
Hey, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, we can.
So this is a bit of a newbie question into VR education. Me and a friend of mine, we are working a lot with Volvo, and we are doing sessions all the time with education inside there. And we're curious to how to engage in VR education as well. How do we proceed from here?
Well, you, first of all, create an event, practice doing events. There's instant events. You can do a private event and just allow a few friends in so that you learn how to do event moderation, and you learn how to use this megaphone business and things like that. Use the basic templates that AltspaceVR has. And what I tell people over and over and over and over again is that you need to practice first. Do one that isn't featured. Just do an event so that you work with live human beings and just talk. Don't do a slideshow. Don't do a video. Don't do anything, but just talk to people. And it could be on stamp collecting. It could be on, I know, Donna's sick of hearing this, knitting. I want to learn how to knit. I know how to knit, but I knit for shit, and so I want to learn how to knit better. And so I want to, So I would love to have a meetup where people are talking about knitting and sharing their skill sets and things. You could put some slides up and, you know, show pictures or videos, but, you know, just talk to people and get comfortable having the social interaction like we are doing it today, you know, just talking to people. And then when you're ready, you can have it featured, you can do other things, or you're then ready to bring clients in. Because when you bring a client into a private event or into a public event, whatever it is, you need to train and prep them. And I cannot tell you from our team here, we spent an inordinate amount of time training people who are not accustomed to VR, be it in 2D or be it in VR, to make them feel comfortable. Now, AltSpace is awesome because you don't just walk into AltSpace and hope to figure it out. There's a little training thing where you throw a basketball and all the silly things. And then there's the info zone that you land in that you can learn a little more about how AltSpace works. That's a great way. All people do, I don't know if y'all noticed, but in the info zone, there's these blue arrows on the floor. People usually just walk right by them. They're designed to teach you how to navigate as you move through those curves. So that's part of the user experience, is to understand how, you know, how to move and how to navigate, and that's what those arrows are supposed to be doing. We had questioned it at first, like, why is the info zone so crazy? It's like, well, because we're teaching you how to move. It's like, okay, that's it. So that really helps people to indoctrinate them into this experience, and then, you know, work with them to make them feel comfortable. This is weird for some people. Hang on a second, Donna. This is weird for people, especially corporate, because they're like, get it done, get it out, get it moving. And VR takes some patience, as you all know, just to get going. But once you're in it, man, it takes me second. Donna will be doing an event, and she says, I need a mod. And I'm like, boom, I'm in there in like 2 minutes or less, just waiting for the computer to boot up. And I can be there to help. So once you get used to it, it's really easy to do. But it does take a little adaptation. Okay, Donna?
And just quickly, the AltspaceVR has the community helper program. So there's a bunch of community helpers dispersed all different times of the day through all events and worlds. And when you guys are wanting to practice, invite a community helper to come in, do it a bunch of times. They may only be able to stay 5 or 10 minutes. Like lots of them don't have the commitment to stay for, 30 or 45 minutes, but bring them in and just get tips and tricks from them. Everybody has learned to use, borrow the word Daniel and Karen were using, organically, right? We've all learned things. And so bring them in. I get new users that do that with me all the time. And it's just a great way to, for us all to learn, right? And once you've learned from other people, you're going to pay it forward. So that's one of the greatest things about the community in AltSpace, that we all learn from each other. So, but make sure, approach community helpers. That's why they applied to be one.
And also, don't forget, you can, educators, the founders and the volunteer staff here at Educators in VR are available for hire. We do some consulting and stuff to make sure that schools and businesses and whatnot understand how all this works and can create events and can move forward with it. So we are available. Send money our way. It's amazing what we'll do for some money. No. All right, Joshua, Joshua's the last question, and then I'm gonna race off to my event and unmute everybody, and you can all talk and come up, and we'll turn off the stage blocker so people can come look at the stage and whatnot. So Joshua, my friend, thank you for stepping up and helping with all those videos.
You're welcome. I just about killed my laptop hard drive space doing it.
Talk to Alistair. Yeah.
I had a question. I came in really late because I had to get off.
Shame on you. But, shame on you.
Do you have any insight gained from this week-long event that might help to do, as I mentioned to you before, a hybrid event where there's already a physical event going on, and they've got a camera recording in the session rooms and whatnot. Then they've got an actual vendor room,
right,
and all that. But to be able to add in a VR layer on top of it for those who can't attend in person.
Yes, there's a lot of work being done on that. The problem is that when you have people in headsets or in 2D all in the same room, the latency feedback is unbelievable. And so there's a lot of muting, and you end up using the microphone like it's a walkie-talkie. But it is, I've done many of these events where we're incorporating people in the real world. We had several, we had one event that involved real world and AltspaceVR that went very, very well because we trained them to hit that mute button every time so you don't hear echo, 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 echo. But yes, this is something that we really want to do more going forward. But honestly, the pure magic is when you really, there's a lot of potential here, but when you take people that are spread out around the world that would normally not meet each other, even if they were at a big public conference and they paid thousands of dollars to attend, they would still not meet each other. And you bring them together into an intimate virtual space where they're sitting in their jammies or in their offices or their costumes or wherever it was. It doesn't matter where they are, and you bring them together, magic happens. And that's what we found above all at the International Summit. And Donnie, I'm going to check out, but I want you to share as you close it out for us. This is the teamwork, man. I have to get to an event, and here she's going to close this out and with thanks to everybody. But could you make the comment about the corporate event thing that we talked about before the event? That was beautiful.
Sure. Let's give Laurel hearts as she heads off to the event. Her and Daniel gave us an amazing experience, whether we were speakers or volunteers or attendees. It was really an amazing experience. So thank you so much for that, Laurel. And we've been talking lots since the event ended, and there's so many ideas. And again, no matter whether you were an attendee, a volunteer, wherever you were in the spectrum, we all have ideas about how to take this forward and how to expand this social experience into different industries and for different people. And I think that there's so many opportunities. And one thing, it strikes us all as we keep hearing all of these conferences that are being canceled, right? So we're having, there's these in-person conferences that are being canceled due to the fear with the virus. And so this would be the perfect time for Social VR to step up and be ready for these kind of conferences, except that we're not really, we're still a little bit, we still need to do some regrouping about how to do this and how to make it easily accessible. And it still needs time, just like people plan sometimes for a year for an event. It takes a lot of planning for a VR event. And so one of the things that I really hope, as ambassadors, as pioneers, as you get invited to give your thoughts in your own workplaces, etc., that this conference was free to attend, and nobody nobody got paid, right? So everybody's time was donated. And as much as we love being part of the community, and I think everybody on this stage has talked about how much they loved being part of the experience, that we really need to, moving forward, understand that this is an industry. This is a potential for corporate. And as conferences are being canceled, the idea isn't that we move to social and make it free. The idea is we move to social and cut the budget. So now where we're paying $25 or $55 a plate for food to feed people, now we can reduce the dollars for a budget, but keep the budget. Don't slash the budget to nothing and say, yay, we can do it for free. Cut the budget and be strategic about how to use those dollars to advance the whole XR community and how to advance this whole experience with social VR. And we really need to make sure, a lot of times we train our audience in things. We give people the expectation. So when we have a conference like this and we do it for free, all of a sudden people attending have an expectation that the next one should be free too. But it takes so many man hours. So we need to give people the potential, an understanding of the potential that's available. But we also need to understand that people can't continue, there'll always be a service, a heart of service when we're working with events and stuff. So that's not what I'm talking about. But when you take a conference and you decide, well, maybe instead of doing it physically, we'll move it into the social VR realm. Please don't put a line through the dollars for the budget and say, okay, now we can go ahead and do it for no dollars, because that is just not the fact. Time is our greatest resource. Expertise is our greatest resource. Most of us a lot of us don't get paid for the time that we invest at work. Or not only for the time, we get paid for the experience and the expertise we bring to that job, right? Well, that's the same in the conference space. And so that's what Laurel and I were talking about, that we really want to educate, because like I said, we're pioneers. We want to educate this space with conferencing. Video conferencing was going to end travel for conferences. I think a lot of people thought that, and it's just not the case. Video conferencing doesn't have the presence. There's online conferences that have a 2D experience, but they don't have the presence of VR. We are in a very unique place to offer a meeting that has presence with it. So let's not undercut potential by slashing budgets. Let's rather decide and be strategic about where we spend dollars so that this community as a whole, we can all advance. So that was my closing comment for this. I don't know if any of you have anything to add on the stage about that. Happy to take a last comment from you guys if you have something to add. No? Okay, so, and I don't know, I'm having trouble, this is ironic, but I'm in this meeting and I'm having trouble with audio myself. So hopefully you guys can hear me. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate your questions, and we look forward to doing this again. Educators in VR has an event every Tuesday afternoon, so please join us.